but she's getting visited 3 times by hospice care, so a week, and so there's that. But she loves the Lord, and so uh, she's ready to meet Jesus, and there's no defeat, there's no disappointment, there's no grief on her side of things. And God has been very good in terms of pain and all that. She's very minimal pain. When she does have it, there's at this point they're able to relieve that with various things. So, but you can be praying for Dad. Obviously, he's probably not ready for all of this. That's probably the easiest way to say that. Um, so there's a lot of conversations we get to have because of that. So
And you were able to spend some time with them. Was that last week?
yeah, we left here Tuesday morning. We were there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, left Saturday morning. So
Okay. Well, we'll be and Carmen, for those of us that are your mom and dad's name. I'm sorry,
Jim and Vicky.
Jim and Vicky. Okay. All right. Well, I will just kind of open up with just a little time of prayer. I thought it'd be good to read just a portion this morning as we pray of Psalm 31, and I'm just going to read Psalm 31 says begins by saying, "I in you, Lord, I have taken refuge. Let me need never be put to shame. Deliver me in your righteousness. Turn your ear to me. Come quickly to my rescue. Be my rock of refuge, a strong fortress to save me. Since you are my rock and my fortress for the sake of your name, lead me and guide me." Verse 14, "But I trust in you, Lord. I say, you are my God. My times are in your hands. Deliver me from the hands of my enemies, from those who pursue me. Let your face shine on your servant. Save me in your unfailing love. Let me not be put to shame, Lord, for I have cried out to you, but let the wicked be put to shame and be silent in the realm of the dead." Father, I just come to you this morning with a heavy heart, not only uh, for the loss of life, God, it's a daily occurrence here. It's part of your plan on earth. It's part of the judgment that we experience because of sinfulness. However, Father, you have given us a promise. You've given us a hope for which we all have given to this point in our lives a significant amount of time and energy to. God, it's the hope that we can share with others. It's the hope of eternity. God, we thank you for that in Vicky's life. And God, as this time on earth is coming near to a close, God, I pray you'd be with Carmen specifically. God, a brother and pastor and servant of yours that has given his life to your ministry. God, it's a time like this where he's wrestling not only with the spiritual and rejoicing in the moment, but also addressing the issue of final days with mom, uh, with dad, and the support that he's needing and that Carmen's able to give. And God, I just pray for their family. I lift them up. I pray for those two that are suffering with health on this phone call, family members in this phone call. God, for those of us that we walk with that are in the process of losing ones, God, give us your grace and your wisdom. We're to be Jesus. We're to be the hands and feet. And God, remind us what that's like as we look in your word and listen to your spirit. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. I'm a little bit that way myself right now. We had a member of our church uh, about 4 weeks ago now came up to me after service and just, in tears, asking for prayer for her brother. Brother won't go into all the details, but is diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Uh, Basically, his sister goes to our church. It's actually Dennis Erickson's wife, Carmen. I was actually gonna give you a call this weekend, and I just got away from me, but Dennis Erickson and his family have come to celebrate really through death in a way, when you think about it that way. And Carmen knows that story, but it continues in an interesting way. And so he passed away yesterday afternoon, Michelle's brother. And it's just been kind of a heavy couple of weeks, certainly for their family, but even the last week for myself and Josh, it's been pretty much daily, multiple check-ins, daily visits, and um, he was able to receive Christ and renew his commitment to Christ. We were able to see that, witness that. So we certainly have a peace and a hope about that. But there's a lot of struggle based on the life that he lived and the things that he chose. So it's been a little heavy. So that's kind of where my head is today, where my heart is. I don't know where you guys are, but I thought in our time today, can you guys hear me okay? I got a new little desk set up here. And I don't know how the sound works, but I thought maybe we could just together learn something. I had the privilege yesterday of listening in with Pastor Keith on a teaching that he did on the importance of staffing. Now, whether you're in a church where you've got multiple staff, some of you are in that situation, or maybe you're in a position where you have multiple volunteers leading, which is probably even more significant. When you're starting a church, when you're new, when it's early and you're leaning on volunteers, staffing volunteers is probably more important and more significant than hiring somebody. I can tell you that a volunteer can do an awful lot of blessing and an awful lot of work, take a lot of load off your shoulders, but they can also cause a lot of division. It can be a problem. And Keith shared yesterday, so I'm going to just do I'm going to obviously give Keith and others the credit, but I'm going to just rip the thing off because I thought it was so good. I'm not going to change a whole lot, but wanted to share with you, of course, one of my favorite all-time video clips. I probably shared it before in this call, but I'm going to share it again because it's that good. And it's the whole idea of who's on your team. How do you determine who's on your team? And how does that work? What's the role of a leader in staffing? And all of you, I'm sure, are swimming with that question in your mind. How did I get on this call? Why am I on this call? What's for lunch? And other thoughts. But I'm going to share this video with you because it's gold. It's absolute gold. So enjoy the next minute or so.
Vernon just, it was something that I told everybody at the very beginning of the week. I will not tolerate players that think it's about them when it's about the team. No. You know what? This is how I believe, okay? I'm from the old school. I believe this. I would rather play with 10 people and just get penalized all the way until we got to do something else, rather than play with 11 when I know that right now that person is not sold out to be a part of this team. It is more about them than it is about the team. Cannot play with them. Cannot win with them. Cannot coach with them. Can't do it. I want winners. I want people that want to win.
There's more to that clip. There's more to that story, of course, but you kind of anyone within earshot catches the intensity. I don't think we have any Chicago Bears people here on the call, but sorry. And by the way, apologies to all of you Lions people. I guess that would be Dave, but rest in peace, all of your Super Bowl hopes. Maybe next year.
Boy, that's the glass half empty if ever I've heard it. Detroit went further than they've gone in 30 years. I'd say that's a win.
That's true. I sent Dave a video of Coach Carpenter. Is it Carpenter? Yeah, Carpenter. I sent him a video of Dan Carpenter at his opening press conference, and here's the thought.
Campbell.
Campbell is, yeah. Campbell, yeah. Here's something I think that is a cultural thing on this phone call, and Keith talked about 4 C's, and so if you got your notes out, you can just write them down right away. You'll know probably 3 of them. One of them might come as a surprise. We'll leave the surprise for the end. But the 3 C's, go ahead, just type them in the comments if you know them. No order, just type them in there. What are the 3 C's we talk about when it comes to staffing, looking at people? Character, good, boom. That's high on the list. Jeff, chemistry, yes, chemistry. Competency, good. Okay. There's a lot of crossover between football and church. I love it. I think that's why I love it so much. Oh boy. If you're not watching the comments, you're missing out. But I think there's a lot of crossover because we're looking for a certain type of competency. Obviously, if you're looking for a field goal kicker, you need somebody that can kick the ball, right? If you're looking for character, you're looking for a certain type of character on your football team. Toughness, what I would say. What Mike Singletary said, I want winners. I want winners. I want people that want to win. And one of the things that I think is real important for us to recognize as a culture, when I look at this screen, do you know what I see? I see winners. Right? And nobody here on this phone call sucking their thumb. You are a winner. Turn to somebody next to you on screen and say, you're a winner. Go ahead. Tell Monty. So if Monty's listening, say, Monty, you're a winner. Can't see him, but I believe he's there in faith. You wouldn't be on this call if you weren't a winner. Okay. One of the things that I've learned to appreciate about Pastor Keith is he's really has a good way of identifying people that know how to win. And that's part of our network. If you're going to whine and complain about the refs, we'll just call them the refs, or the quote unquote fans at your church, if you're going to complain about those things, obviously we all have problems with calls that refs make. We have calls with things that fans do. But if that's where you live, this network probably isn't a good network for you because we want winners. We want winners. And then chemistry, right? Like that's the one I think that, and Keith yesterday talked about chemistry. I think that's the one that is harder for us to call out. If somebody's sleeping with their girlfriend or they're a volunteer and they're getting drunk or they're stealing from the offering plate, character we can identify pretty quickly. But as Keith said yesterday, and I'm going to test this. We focus on character, but really that's probably the one that has the most capacity for growth, because I know everyone on this call would say, how many of you would say your character has arrived, fully sanctified, nothing to work on? Okay. If you raise your hand, please mute your camera so we can't see it. That's probably why Monty's not muted. That's probably why Monty's not on, because his character doesn't need any work. But character is the one, it kind of takes care of itself, right? If you've got Jesus, if you have Jesus and he's growing in you, guess what? He gives grace to the humble. If you're not humbled under Jesus Christ and you're on this phone call, I think the Holy Spirit makes it its personal job to work you in that direction. If character is an issue for you, it's going to come up sooner or later, and it probably will come up by circumstances that you didn't foresee, because character is who we are in the quiet, but we know from Scripture that the quiet is brought to the light, right? And that's a great, thank you, Jeff. That's a great point. The more people are like Jesus, the easier they are to deal with. Okay. So if you have a high character, if you're high character, doesn't necessarily mean you'll never have issues. What it means is when you have an issue, you will receive it with wonder and privilege, and you will smile and say, oh, thank you for showing me that. I appreciate that. I wrote down in Keith's notes, he just said this, and I'm going to read this here, just right off his notes. Character can be easily sold, okay? However, when it comes to character, it is very difficult to discover in the long run. It's why it takes the long run. He quotes Helen Keller. Helen Keller says, character cannot be developed in the ease and quiet. Only through experiences of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, ambition inspirited, and success achieved. Paul says it this way: we glory in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance, character, and character, hope. Your character doesn't grow unless you go through tough times. And if your character doesn't make it through tough times, that's an evidence of lack of character. So how do we determine character? We only know by time. Keith has said this many times, and I think all of us can be well to remember this when it comes to people in our church. How many, who's had somebody in the last 6 months that showed up your church and you went, they're talented. Wow, they look like they have a lot of money. Would anybody care to share one of those stories in the last 6 months? That's a great thought. Thank you.
I mean, if you want an actual story.
Yes, please.
So thanks to Chris Fickle and the Marriage Podcast, we have a couple that moved here just a couple of months ago that did 2 weeks with Chris. The wife is a licensed marriage and family counselor, sex therapist. And so, yeah, they're a part of our church. And the plan is that we're going to start a life group in their home here in a couple weeks. And there's more potential that eventually, we're hoping for and looking towards that. But I'm also a little concerned that we only know them for 3 months. So there certainly is that issue that you're speaking to at this very moment.
Just puked to myself there. Excuse me. Well, we have Carmen here. This is the group, Carmen. Every one of us will tell you they sound awesome. Here's the people you want to vet them with. Let's talk in 2 years from now, right? You can share your excitement. We all share in that. Who wouldn't love to have a sex therapist join their church? Right? Especially one that's recommended by Chris Fickle. Excuse me. I mean, it's pretty much a home run, right? Well, let's see. Let's wait. And this is the group. This is the group where you can be vulnerable here. Excuse me. And we can remind each other. We can remind each other that time is our best friend. With this couple, Carmen, time is our best friend. We'll learn. Here's the good news about character. If they know Christ, their character can and will grow. Heads up, it'll probably grow through trial and suffering. Second one. Oh, so here's the question that I want us to ask of ourselves, and the question we should ask of our people, of our talent, quote unquote. Are they teachable? Are they willing to learn through difficulty? Or do they arrive knowing everything and having all the answers? This is a poem that Keith, excuse me. This is a poem that Keith read. I'm just going to read it. The easy roads are crowded. The level roads are jammed. The pleasant little rivers with the drifting folks are crammed. But off yonder, where it's rocky, where you can get a better view, you will find the ranks are thinning and the travelers are few. Where's the going smooth and pleasant? You will always find the throng, for the many, more's the pity, seem to like to drift along. But the steeps that call for courage and the task that's hard to do in the end results in glory for the never wavering few. Character. Here's the next one, competency. If the question for character is, are you teachable? The question for competency is, are you able? Are they able? Are you a learner? That's the first step, okay? Second step is, did you learn anything? And have you applied it? There's a reason that I don't serve on the music team. And part of it is I don't have any talent, but also is I've not put in the time. I've not worked hard at music. What is music? Reed could tell you. Yeah, there's natural abilities there. Dave could tell you this. Dave's a music person. Rod's a music person. You got a gift, but that gift is developed through practice and hard work. Are you able? So when we're looking at our teams, right, we have to find not only the right people, that's character, but as Peter Drucker and Jim Collins would tell us, you got to find the right seat for them on the bus. Are they doing the right things? You might have a great children's pastor that's serving on the cleanup crew. You might have somebody that's working outside of their competencies. Our job is to help them find the right seat on the bus. Um, I'm gonna just read this. This is what Keith said. I'm just gonna read it. We got a few minutes here. If we hire someone who turns out to be incompetent, this is the danger of competency. It's not just their area that will suffer. It's going to bring the whole team down. The bar is always lowered with incompetency. We're only as strong as our weakest link. We can use the football analogy. If we have a great football team and we don't have a field goal kicker, we're going to be as good as our field goal kicker. Because inevitably it's going to come down to a kick, an extra point, an onside kick. We're only as good as our weakest link. And when you're thinking about staff, when you're thinking about people that you're allowing into your sphere, into your team, into your inner circle, you have to consider their competencies. Can they do what you're asking them to do? Third one, we already said it. Chemistry. Chemistry. A person can have high character, be incredibly competent, but if they can't play well with others, they can't be on the team, or they're going to struggle. This is the one that Keith would argue, and I think he did a good job of articulating this. Chemistry is the it factor. Do people miss you when you're gone? When someone is gone from a meeting or a group, are they missed? If you have a team meeting or you have a service and someone is not there that weekend, do you go to yourself, oh man, I missed blank? Chemistry. Here's a great question. This is the question for chemistry. Does everyone get better when they're around? Does everyone get better when you're around? Are you a giver or are you a taker? I think the key to chemistry is your ability to bless and add value to others. Are you a person that you are always making others better? We love to be around people like that, don't we? You want them on your team. Here's the question. Are you able to call that out when it's not the case? Can you call that out? Can you identify that? Do I collaborate well? Do I share ideas without trying to take the credit? Do others perform better because of me? Does my presence bring the team up or pull them down? Okay. Okay. Last C. That's 3 C's. Anybody want to take a guess at the 4th C? That's so important when we hire
Christ.
Christ. Okay. Yes. Oh, okay. We've got, there it is. Man, for not being at the meeting yesterday, no, you got all the right answers. Did you say you weren't at the meeting yesterday? Oh, I missed
I
it.
was at the meeting, John. You were just sleeping during it. Just
Oh,
kidding.
missed you at, you said, oh, never mind. Okay. Sidebar. Culture. Um, And I want to just do this right now. And let's just, I'm gonna close my camera off. Talk about the culture that we have. Now let's just discipline ourselves here, not celebrate culture. Okay, not the culture at your church. What's the culture that we have within this team, within this network, within this group? Fun and just let's just throw some out. What do we have? What's our culture? It's amazing. Thank you.
So I just joined like 1 minute ago and caught the end of that, but I guess when I think of this group, I think of like I can come to this group and be vulnerable in asking questions and seeking advice, and like I feel the call. I trust this group. I don't know if that's culturally what you're looking for.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna put. The word safety is what I was thinking. Like there's it's a safe place. Yeah.
Encouraging. We all want to see each other get better and do better and be better in our communities, better servants.
Excellent.
I'm gonna
I'd say challenging.
humility. There's humility within this group, and you can tell just by the self-effacing humor that we use with each other.
I'd say challenging because while Jeff, you say it's a safe place, I think a trademark of our culture is that it's a safe place to be unsafe. And that is, I care more about you than your comfort. And I think that's a distinctive of Celebrate.
These are really good. Noah Rollins says seasoned. Wow. Nice. Self-effacing statement. Noah and I spent 3 days together. That was a blessing, wasn't it? It's about time we do that again. I know how Jaden feels now.
Might be a little soon, maybe a couple more months.
Okay. Good. Okay. Good. These are really good. Desire to see multiplication happen. Yeah, gray hair. That's what I was thinking. Salt and pepper. There, you know what? I mean, you think about it, and I'll take that because I think that's important. Look at the years of ministry experience and life experience on this phone call. And Keith's not even on today, right? That experience comes with a mandate. For those of you that have had class with with Reed, you don't learn for your own benefit. I mean, these gray hairs that I have and the gray hairs that we have, the lack of hair that some of you have, is for you to teach others. If no one else learns from your mistakes, what's the point? Right? Like learn to teach is just a bedrock principle of who we are as pastors and as a church. Celebrate who we should be. It's one of the ways we make people better, right? If you don't share what you've learned, if you don't share your experiences, are you really adding value? And if you're not sharing your experiences, are you truly being vulnerable? Right? If you can't learn and you can't laugh at yourself, yikes, we're in trouble. So I think that's true of all of us, you know, and can be more true as well, probably. So, well, that's a half hour. We could probably keep going. If you want to stick around, we're going to do the next half hour is specifically, and put this on your calendars. The next half hour is specifically for those churches that are deployed within the first 18 months of plant of first. And when we say plant, what we're saying roughly basically is your first public service. So that's kind of the language. Date, discover, develop, then deploy. Deployment starts when you have your first public service. So if you're in that category, 0 to 18 months of deployment, and we're just gonna spend the next few minutes just talking, chatting. If you want those notes, send me an email. I can pass them along to you. Probably get a lot more out of them by reading them than listening to me talk about them. So it's great to have you guys. Hugs and smooches. Sweet. Yay. All right. Well,
It's the rookies. Woohoo!
what's I don't know if we've had a kind of if there's a standing agenda. I think basically, first of all, what are you struggling with? What's a question you have right now? Ben and we're gonna talk, I think. Did you get that email, Ben? So I think Ben and I are gonna talk offline about could maybe do this even after this, if you're all right with that, Ben. Which doesn't really apply to everybody, but what are some things that you're struggling with right now, or you're excited about, that we can celebrate together?
What's a victory?
So
Well,
we
go ahead, Stacey.
thanks, Brent. We did something new this month because the weather was just awful, and I like physically couldn't get to town for a couple of the Sundays. And local churches, actually one Sunday, all the local churches were canceling service. And then the next Sunday, I physically couldn't get to town because of snow drifts and stuff. So for 2 Sundays in a row, we actually did a service via Zoom. So it wasn't an online, it wasn't online service, but it wasn't like this one-way online service. It was still an interactive service. And one of the first service, one of my members, her niece from Harrisburg, was then able to join. So it was kind of cool just to kind of navigate that. And that idea actually came from Wanda. Because I kind of reached out to them. I'm like, everyone else is canceling church. What do you guys want to do? Like, what are you thinking? And she suggested doing that. So I'm like, all right, let's try it. So, that was kind of cool. Knowing that we have that type of an option, and it worked out well.
Would you do it again?
I would only do it in situations where, there is like safety concerns or, whatever. So yeah, like I said, we did it 2 weeks in a row. I definitely prefer the in person, but it was really cool. This last Sunday, we finally were able to get back together.
If that happens again, just a thought, that's an easy opportunity then to bring someone in as a guest.
Oh, yeah.
Because they don't have to try to fight to travel, and you could bring them on to talk about any topic that you'd want them to talk about, just kind of a Q&A.
Awesome. Well, and celebrate too, like you did with us. Celebrate the fact that, wow, as the pastor, you don't have to come up with every idea. Celebrate Wanda. She had a great idea. About she gets the credit, God gets the glory, kind of deal.
Yeah. Reed, you're preaching on Sunday because I'm going to be gone. And one of my church members I sent her the sermon. I asked them, I said, do you want me to try to find someone to fill in, or do you just want me? I do have a sermon that Reed had preached that is going well with the series. Do you just want to play that? And they said it didn't matter to them. So I got her. So you're preaching Go Breathe the Miracle this Sunday in Parkston, Reed. So
Give me a B, give me an E. No, that's the other one.
But yeah, it is cool. I'm trying to get feedback from them and me not make the decisions and get them to kind of own some of the conversation and what to do.
Awesome.
Go ahead, Brent.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things going on. Then I have some questions, but so we started talking about baptism. You know, we haven't really even brought that up since we launched February 19th last year. And so the first weekend of the year, I showed a video from Celebrate of a baptism we did in 2011. And it happens to be the one where our whole family was baptized. And so that was kind of cool. And just said, hey, I'd like to schedule a baptism service this summer, and we'll do it right in the pool outside of where we meet. And you know, John, you've been here, you've seen, you know, where we meet. We've got that Olympic pool right outside, and so I just, you know, so we started talking about it. And the first week, I've got one person that said, yeah, I want to get baptized. So, you know, we're going to keep building on that, and we're excited about that. You know, the question is, you know, I'm meeting all these people. I think the number is 337 people by name now I've met playing pickleball, and 100 more that just I met just doing life here. And but it's not transitioning to I mean, it's the relationships you know, one at a time are building, but you know, it's not translating into, hey, they're coming to church or anything. So I mean, I want them to know Jesus. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. I'm trying to show them Jesus, you know, when I'm around them, and I feel like I'm doing that in many ways. But so what we're considering is they're just not ready to come to church. I mean, I used to invite people to church all the time, and they just kind of, you know, you could just feel them, you know, bristle up and oh, that's good for you, you know, kind of a thing, but not for me, kind of an attitude. So it's like, okay, I need to do something different. So we're planning events that will be Matthew parties, basically. And we're gonna have, we had one that was a Halloween pumpkin carving party, and just invited some friends from pickleball, invited some family that's here. Some of them know Christ, some of them don't. We invited some neighbors from our new neighborhood, and we had about 20 to 25 people there, and we had a blast, and they're still talking about it. It's kind of cool. And we didn't pray, we didn't have a message. It was just getting people together and being with each other and building relationships. And we're gonna have a Super Bowl party, you know, in a couple of weeks, and and doing the same thing. And we're going to do several of these, like once a month or once a quarter anyway, and just try to get people from all walks of life together. And so do you feel like, what do you think of that idea? I think it feels right to me in our environment, but any ideas you have to help take it the next step? I mean, I'm one of a couple that we're working with closely right now is just it's a husband and wife that play pickleball, and so Mindy and I have been spending quite a bit of time with them. They're asking us as much as we're asking them to do things together, and it's pretty cool. And so our relationships are going deeper. Trust is being built. But and once in a while we talk about faith and where they are and where, a little bit. They'll ask questions about the church, but they're not coming. And I don't want it to be about coming to church. So we'll let God take care of that. I plant and water, God causes the growth, right? We all know that. So what are your thoughts on that? Our approach or ideas?
I think it sounds great, Brent. I mean, for one, don't get discouraged. And, to me, it's right. If you seek me with all your heart, you will find me. And as you and Mindy are seeking and you're living that out, it's showing that living example to people that's contagious, right? We invite people all the time, and yeah, they don't come. They got better things to do, right? But as they see a life change, you're out in the community, you're doing everything you can, you're taking advantage of every opportunity to just be Jesus. And so just continue to do those things. And one of the books I was reading, I talked about planting sequoias. And that really hit me because I think we want radishes, right? We want to put it in the ground and we want 2 weeks it's up, 4 weeks we're eating it. And yet then it's dead, it's gone. And so when we think of planting sequoias, we want something that's going to grow, that's going to take years to mature, but it's going to be an amazing structure, right? And I mean, it's a tough job in this world today to try to win people over, right? And I think the biggest thing is again, how are we living it out? What do they see in us that they don't have, and how can they get that? And I think you do a great job of that. So
Can I share a quick story that might give you some encouragement there, Brent? So you've probably heard me talk about a gentleman named Matthew in the neighborhood, and he would walk by every day. He's got some disabilities, but every morning, seeing him walk by, opening the window, hollering at him, "Good morning, Matthew," you know, and he would sit on our little retaining wall. Anyway, ran into him out at Walmart, you know, and he says, "Oh, this is my pastor, Ben," but he's never set foot in anything Riverside church wise, but he would just call me that. Well, he was living with his sister, and his sister passed away in December. Now he's able to live by himself, but through that, now his brother from Kansas City came up, and we found them in our house. Like, you know, they were sitting here, and so we talked through that, and just the importance that Matthew needs a church family around him now. You know, he's going to need some of that. And so I'll just fast forward in the last month now. It's like we've had his sister from Syracuse out here. You know, we were at the funeral and stuff, you know, just me and my entire family. But we made such an impact the church has. Like Matthew talks about us all the time. And we just got a card this Sunday, a couple days ago, from one of the nieces who actually said, "Just thank you. Matthew talks about Riverside Church all the time, and you and your family, and the impact it's having." She goes, I told my husband about this, who claims to be a flaming atheist, and it brought him to tears. And so the effect that the church is having in someone who we might not for the longest time think, well, this is, you know, they're not coming to church. It's what's the point? What's the point? Oh no. I mean, God has plans that we don't even come close to seeing. And really the thing is to just remain obedient. If God tells you to talk to this person, that's what you do. And the rest of it's not up to you, because he's working in their heart as much as yours. That's my encouragement.
That's a cool story.
Hey, Brent, would it ever be an option that after those events, since they're not regular, they're quarterly or maybe 3 times a year, for you to have a specific topic that for the next X weeks we're going to talk about, and just say, hey, you know, so great to be together. Listen, there's a number of us that are on a journey of just trying to be the best us that we can be. And we found that that's done better in community than it is trying to do it by yourself. And so we're actually going to gather for the next 4 weeks, talking, or the next 3 weeks, and we're going to talk about how to grow a marriage, how to grow a family. And, you know, if that's something that you think could be helpful to you, this is where we're going to meet. And they don't need to know it's church. They don't need to know it's that, because you can form it anyway. But, you know, it's helping us be a better us. And then obviously in them connecting to a smaller sit where they're finding something helpful, obviously you have the ability to bring in. So it could be a topic of money, it could be a topic of defining what's my purpose in life, you know, things related to that. So that's just a thought I give.
Brent, first of all, I think I immediately went to Jesus saying, I will make you fishers of men. And right now, when you first land on the edge of the lake, what are you going to do? You're going to do what you know. You're going to do what you're good at. You're good at loving people. You know, allegedly, you're good at pickleball. But you're passionate, so you're going to use those hooks and those lines that you're really accustomed to. And so I think that's probably the, you know, backing up a little bit, understanding, okay, there's lots of fish in this pond. I mean, you're in the largest pond of any of us. So what's challenging for you is you're fishing in a different kind of water than you've swam in for the last 25 years. You're swimming in a very different pond than you grew up in. And so some of that stuff you just have to recognize. Like there's lots of fish in Denver. And there are probably 1,000 different ways that you can catch them by in power of the Holy Spirit, right? And so I think going, okay, this is who I am, and this is the fishing that I can do, and then what are other kinds of fish? What are the fish attracted to that are swimming by me? And you're doing that right now with, where's your next nearest circle of and looking for other people that can fish. I have a friend and we go fishing and hunting sometimes, and he goes, John, it's not a matter if we'll catch fish. It's a matter of if there's fish in the lake. If there's fish in the lake, we'll catch them. And he says that because he's been doing it for 35 years. I mean, before he could drive a car, he was fishing, and he knows every pothole. And when he talks to somebody else, another fisherman, they just go crazy. Like they just go, I don't even know what they're talking about. But he goes, I will find the fish and I will catch the fish. And that's that confidence that you're building now. You have confidence in this. Okay, I know how to catch the pickleball. This is how we catch. You're looking at whoppers. I mean, who plays pickleball? A lot of people play pickleball, but they're people that you already have that layer with. So I think it's that fishing, God's making you into a fisher of men. Now you're just adding to your tackle box. As the years go on and the months go on, you're just adding to it. And you're throwing that, hey, come to church. That bait doesn't hit very well in Denver. They swim up to it and they go, doink. Nah, I'm moving on. I'm looking for something else. Easier to digest, more palatable. And I think that's what Reed's saying is the bait, what Reed's saying is he's throwing something at them that they can more easily digest. That they can go, oh, that's interesting. That catches my eye better than, hey, you want to come to church? Because to be honest, you want to come to church works in Sibley. It works in Brandon. It kind of works in Sioux Falls. In Denver, it's not a thing. All they know is negative when it comes to church. So those are my thoughts, but.
Thank you. That's all of that was, very helpful. Some of it's too, okay. I'll just be honest. It's impatience. I just, we're putting all this time and effort into something and you just want to see results, and they want to see the fruit. And, it's not a radish. You want radishes. They're going to be here today and gone tomorrow. You want to build something that's going to last. And, I really do want to build something that'll last. So I just got to stay faithful and be consistent and be Christ to them. And it'll happen. It will. I believe it. So I appreciate the ideas. So
you can also maybe try meeting in a dispensary. I'm just saying that'd probably bring people into. I mean, you don't have to use the products, but I'm just. Yeah. It'd get butts in the seats.
There you go.
But
wouldn't that be funny? I'll take a picture of it the first one I do, and they'll all be sitting around with alcoholic beverages in front of them, and we'll have our Bibles open. And hey, that's fine with me. If that's what it takes.
I have a name for it. You can call it Parables and Puffs.
That would work. Joints and Jesus.
Holy smoke.
Holy smoke. Yeah, there you go.
My one of the guys in at Tailgaters in Brandon, he used to be a Christian, now he's an atheist. But he every time I talk to him, he's got to talk about church. And he goes, when the whole marijuana thing came out in South Dakota, he goes, I got an idea, John. We're gonna add a second story onto your church. We're going to put a dispensary on the main floor, and we're going to put a strip club on the top floor. I was like, oh, really? I was like, that's great. Wow. We're going to call it Mary Magdalene's. I said, oh, Mike, you're serious. Wow. So you can be too relevant. But okay. Well, thanks, Brent, for sharing. That's good.
I appreciate too the context, that, we are in different markets, and, what are the fish, how do the fish bite? What do they bite on? What bait do you need to use? I hate to even, that sounds terrible. You know what I mean though. And, you talk about church or being a pastor in Denver, it means something different than it does in Sibley or Parkston or whatever. So I get it.
I don't remember, and this is maybe this will get a little, tell me if I'm being too personal, but it'll be too late by the time I get it out. So I don't remember if we talked about this or if Noah and I talked about it after we left, but I think one of the things that you want to be aware of when you're talking with people is introducing yourself as a pastor. I remember you hearing from someone, or someone in your circle was like introducing you as Pastor Brent. Right?
Yes. Yep.
And so I think that's something you want to be wise of, that wise as serpent type thing. Like, is it best to make that your introduction, or is that something that they discover later on? Because that word pastor, that can put up a lot of roadblocks right off but not that you're hiding from it.
Right.
Not that you should hide from it. But the wisdom, and I know that's something you've been challenged with as well. I think Keith challenged you, like, jump in both feet,
Yeah.
But I think
I have had people tell me, I wouldn't call yourself a pastor. I wouldn't tell them you're a pastor. Tell them you're a spiritual coach or something like that. And I'm just like, I don't know. But my approach is that I want them to discover that in conversation. It's not something I lead with, when we're sitting out playing pickleball, you got time to talk, and usually I'll just say, hey, yeah, what do you do for a living? And we'll have that conversation, and you usually end up asking me as well. So anyway, I don't want to monopolize the time. If there's anybody else, questions and stuff.
Hey, Ben, tell us about the pancakes feed.
Oh, yeah, this Saturday, if you guys want to eat, come on over. Pancake Saturday, this Saturday. So that's pretty cool always. That's, it's put on by Riverside Church, but we don't give a message or anything like that. So but it's more of a community meal, and it's pretty cool because, all the stuff is donated. It's not a handout meal. People from the church bring stuff in, and then actually, like the sausage, a guy he's never been in the church, but he loves the idea of a community meal. I mean, he works at Smithfield, so he brings the sausage and cooks it up and brings it in. So it's just not his time yet, but it will be the more he's around those people. And so it's just being patient, kind of like, like you were mentioning, Brent. It's just going to be that much sweeter when they do make that decision. But yeah, that's been fun. We do that once a month, every Saturday morning, 9 o'clock to 10.
At the church that you're renting?
At the church, yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
Is it the first Saturday of every month?
The first Saturday of every month, at least up until the neighborhood soccer season, because then that's on a Saturday morning, so we're not gonna, go against that. So, I mean, not go again, you know what I mean? It's kind of a blending of two cool things, so, yeah.
It's always from what, 10 to 11, 9 to 10?
Well, 9 to 10. Yeah.
I like that. I'm going to do an Ebelskiver breakfast then.
There you go.
You guys have heard of Ebelskiver? No? Yeah, it's a Danish, basically like a Danish pancake. It's cooked in a cast iron skillet. They're like little balls. So you pour the dough in, and they just kind of puff up into a little ball, and it's pretty cool. Family recipe for generations. So maybe I should do that. I like it.
There you go. Yeah, we've discovered that Riverside likes to eat, and they like to eat together. So that's an easy thing to get people together.
I think that sounds like the knowing the fish in the pond.
Well, it is, but here's the thing: we are Riversiders, and we have been for many years. So it's easier for us to we kind of know what lures we're pulling out of the box. So it's yeah, I'll pull plugs all day long. So
And talk about a fisherman. There you go. He's Ben knows all the language.
Pull a plug. That's a deep fisherman reference right there. But fishermen, I mean, that's what they are, right? I mean, they're patient, right? They're patient and they know when to cut. They know when to cut and they know when to change the bait. And it's almost as if they're being, they're just watching. It's a feel thing, right? You got to feel. You have to feel those things, sense those things, and be ahead of it. So this is why we get together, right? Like, because we're all fishing for the same thing. We're all fishing. So
What's in your hand, right, Stacy?
Right. You got the pickleball paddle, Brent.
Pastor Keith gave a message on that. Is use what's in your hand, so Stacy did that message and Parks did, and she used the pickleball paddle as an example. So, what are you already doing that you can use to reach people? That kind of thing. So it's cool.
It was kind of cool too. This past Sunday, we have a pretty good friendship with a church on the south side of town called Oak Hills Baptist Church, and they've actually have mentors in LBA. That's our local school, but they actually had us down, our family, this past Sunday, and got to go up there and just share the story of Riverside Church with their church, and so that was fun to be able to share that and what God's doing in the neighborhood. So yeah.
it's pretty that partnership, Ben. It's obviously, it's not the typical, but it's so cool and so groundbreaking to see what's happening. Like, you're literally fishing out of somebody else's boat in a sense. Vice versa, you could say. Nobody would put Oak Hills and Celebrate in the same boat. We're just different boats, right? But it's amazing when you care about people and you care about fishing, we can catch fish. And fishermen don't work too well together usually, right? Like they have their territories, they're territorial. But it's been so cool to see how just the flexibility and the grace in a micro that we've had with them, and you've had specifically with them. I think, their pastor, quote unquote, and Keith probably wouldn't hang out a lot, but the heart of our churches is very similar. I mean, they have a vision for reaching that community. And I've talked with their pastor. I've met with them, and he's like, we just didn't know what to do. We didn't know where to start. And then Ben and Aaron showed up, and it's almost like God just, so it's like, okay. That's how you get whoppers on the line, so. Well, love you guys. Appreciate you.
Couldn't do it without you guys. I mean, all of you. I mean, this is just even this little conversation and knowing that there's other people, every day out there doing the same thing with the same goals and same mindset and culture and just it means a lot. Love you guys.
Love you too, Brent.
Love you.
All right. I gotta go back to work.
Yep. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Benjamin, you want to just stay on here? Or since
You know it.